Hello everybody! Oh, I nearly knocked the camera over, that's not a good way to start. Hello everybody, it's Katie here from the Queen of Teen Fiction. I'm all dressed in black and I have my rune necklace on. I don't know why I'm singing. It is Shadowhunters discussion time. Guys, I have a lot to say about episode 11. There is just so much going on. So I'm going to discuss episode 11, Blood Calls to Blood, and then after that I would like to take a little bit of time to discuss those promos for episode 12. You know what promos I'm talking about. But we'll get to that later, okay? So let's start with talking about episode 11. So episode 11 picks up immediately where episode 10 left off. Jace and Clary are in Valentine's lair in Chernobyl, and Michael Wayland is finally exiting the closet after all these years. So first of all, I'd like to say that 90% of the fandom called him out on what he was doing. We knew it was Valentine in disguise. I said it last week in my video. There is no way that Michael Wayland was alive. No. So yeah, let's start by saying that we knew that was coming, but it was good. I loved it because that's what I wanted to happen anyway. So Jace and Clary find Michael Wayland, who's supposedly dead. We saw that Jace was attacked by a demon in episode 10, so he's got this demon venom in his blood. He needs help and quickly. So somehow they managed to get back to New York. I don't know how. Did they portal or something? Who knows? I can't remember. But they go straight to Luke and decide that Jace needs a blood transfusion. Firstly, I expected Luke to be a little bit more suspicious at how Michael Wayland had just strolled into Jade Wolf. He kind of accepted that he was alive, like Jace did. Like, is no one going to question him? Is no one going to call the Institute immediately and tell somebody about this? I don't know, but anyway. So whilst Jace is literally just lying there dying, Michael's trying to explain everything to Luke about how he wasn't actually killed by Valentine, and then they all discuss how to help Jace. Simon is also in Jade Wolf at the time, and he and Clary decide to go to Hotel de Mort and try and get some blood from Raphael. I just want to quickly mention the scene before that with Luke and Simon. I am adoring all these scenes between Luke and Simon. I said last week that I wanted more scenes between them because they have a great chemistry on screen, and I'm so glad that we got to see more of that this week because I feel like Luke is a father figure to Simon, and that really comes across well on screen. And I like how Luke is the one that's trying to help him adapt to becoming a downworlder. So whilst Jace is dying and his dad is now risen from the dead, Alec and Izzy are in a panic in the Institute because, of course, Izzy is going to be put on trial, and if she's found guilty then she'll be stripped of her runes and exiled. So Alec is trying to find a way to help her. What I really adored about this episode is that we got lots of great sibling moments between Alec and Izzy, and I just love their bond on screen, and it just comes across so well, and they actually feel like siblings, and I'm just so happy. Whilst we're on the subject of Alec, I would like to talk a little bit about Alec. So I appear to have pissed a couple of people off last week in my video because I was talking about Alec's attitude and how I didn't like it and stuff like that. Can I just make myself clear that I am not hating on his character? People who've watched my videos from the start will know that Alec is one of my two favourite characters in this entire series. I love Alec. He is not just a pretty face to me, although his face is very pretty. He is so much more than that. He is one of the most complex characters in this show. When I was talking about his attitude and how much I hated it, I just meant that I didn't like seeing it on screen because we're not supposed to like it. We're not supposed to like seeing Alec and Jace fighting all the time. And believe me when I say I know that Alec has the harder deal here. Jace is being a complete and utter dick. I know that. I didn't mention that as much in my last video because I'm not as fussed about Jace. Generally, I do talk more about Alec, so that's why I was talking about Alec and not Jace. But I know that Jace is the one who's more in the wrong here. But they've both made some bad decisions, okay? I wasn't hating on Alec's character. Alec's just trying to do his best. I know that. Okay, so that's over with. Back to Alec and Izzy. Okay, so back to Jade Wolf, and we've got more scenes between Michael and Jace. I felt so sad for Jace in this episode because he genuinely believed that his father was alive. But I did like the little conversations that we got to see between them. So whilst Jace and Michael are catching up in Jade Wolf, Simon and Clary are in Hotel de Mort getting some blood from Raphael. Once again, I say it all the time, but Raphael is brilliant. He's just so perfect. I feel like all I do in these videos is repeat myself week after week. I'm like, I love Simon, I love Raphael, I love Magnus. I do. I can't say that enough. I just, yeah. Raphael and Simon are fantastic on screen together. They just have a really great chemistry. And I love how Raphael was like so proud of Simon for blackmailing him. My baby vampire is growing up so fast. Now back at the Institute, the Inquisitor comes to visit. I loved her entrance to the Institute. That was so badass when she just steps into the hallway with the Silent Brother behind her and the guards. And when she's like lecturing Lydia, I could feel the tension there. I'd be terrified of her as well. And it helps you kind of understand why Lydia is so strict in the way that she is, because she doesn't want to disappoint this woman. What I found interesting though is, as far as I could gather from the episode, there was no reveal of the Inquisitor's name. We know that she's a Herondale from the books, but they didn't actually mention that in the show. So I'm wondering if she actually still is a Herondale in the show. I hope so, but who knows. So Simon and Clary bring the blood back to Jade Wolf, and Jace is on the mend whilst he's recuperating. Clary and Michael Wayland have a conversation. Michael is talking about the circle and Valentine's love for Jocelyn and stuff like that. Clary isn't buying any of it. She ain't buying your shit, Michael Wayland. I knew there was something not right about Michael. Every single word that came out of his mouth was bullshit. And you could see that Clary was suspicious of him. So then she goes to have a conversation with Jace. And I've got to say, this scene between Clary and Jace was actually one of the best scenes I think I've seen between them. You know that one of the main problems I've had with this show has been the relationship between Clary and Jace. I never really feel as much of a connection between them as I do with other characters. But that scene when they had a conversation about Michael still being alive, I actually really enjoyed that, and I could actually see some chemistry between them. Trust me to start shipping them just before it all goes to shit. So when Jace is feeling a little bit better and he, Luke, Michael and Clary are all having a conversation and they're all talking about what to do next, Michael starts talking about how whilst he was a prisoner he heard Valentine's plans. Okay, Michael. Okay. Michael tells them about Renwick's and they make a plan to go there. Renwick's is obviously where scenes at the end of the City of Bones book takes place. Then we go back to Alec and Izzy. Izzy needs an advocate for her trial, so Alec goes to Magnus for help. This scene. Magnus Bane being salty AF to Alec Lightwood. Magnus was just utter perfection in this scene. I praise him every week. So what I really loved in that scene was the two glasses in Magnus's apartment. Obviously because the last time we saw Alec and Magnus together in his apartment was after they'd saved Luke's life. Magnus poured them both a drink and gave one to Alec. Whereas this time when Alec came over, there were clearly two glasses, but he very obviously only filled one and drank it himself. And I really love the symbolism of that scene. So then Alec asks Magnus about helping Izzy, and I really adored Magnus's little speech about Downworlders and how the Clave never bothered to exclude them because they thought that no Shadowhunter would ever ask for help from a Downworlder. And so we get more of sassy Magnus and his feelings towards the Clave. The whole "the law is the law" scene. Yes, Magnus, I love you so much. When Alec's like, name your price, Magnus is like, you? I'll even do you pro bono. Ha! I loved that scene so much. Eventually Magnus asks for Alec's bow and quiver, and we know that means a lot to him and he would never want to give it up, but this is Izzy, so obviously he agrees to it. I knew from that moment though that Magnus was never actually going to take the bow and quiver, which he didn't, but I'll talk about that later. Then we get a little scene with Clary and Luke going to Renwick's to see if there are demons around. Luke ends up saying something about Michael that sends little warning bells ringing in Clary's mind, and that's when she starts figuring some shit out about Michael Wayland. So then back at the Institute we get the trial scenes. Lawyer Magnus was something I never knew I needed in my life until I saw it. Oh my god, Lawyer Magnus was great. I love him a lot and seeing him defend Izzy was great. I like Lawyer Magnus. If I was ever on trial for anything, I would want Magnus Bane to defend me. When he's saying that it's not Izzy's fault, it's the cup's fault. Put the cup on trial! Yes, Magnus. Also in these scenes we get to see Isabel's little speech about the Clave and how they're basically doing the same as what Valentine did, pushing out Downworlders and treating them differently. So I really loved that whole speech from Isabel and I was very proud of her in that moment. Go Isabel! You call the Clave out on their shit. And then we also see Magnus call Lydia to the stand. Lydia's little speech was great. She finally got her really badass moment where she stood up for the Lightwoods. And then after that, it's all happy and they're celebrating, and Magnus does his little magical thing where he throws the papers in the air with a bunch of sparkles. They were just happy and Magnus was involved and everyone was hugging, and it was just my children, guys. They're all so perfect. And then of course the Inquisitor has to go and ruin everything. She finds Isabel guilty anyway and says if the cup isn't back within 24 hours, Izzy will be stripped of her runes and exiled. Good times! So then we go back to Clary, Jace, Luke and Michael Valentine. They're breaking into Renwick's looking for Jocelyn. Clary finally finds Jocelyn. Poor Luke gets locked out of the room. Clary gives Michael Valentine the cup and then he reveals himself. I didn't see that one coming. Obviously Jace is absolutely horrified that it's actually Valentine. But then we see Clary standing next to him looking rather smug. Valentine's brandishing the cup at them. And then Clary's like, you're not the only one who can use a glamour. When that cup just changes into a world's best dad mug. That scene was golden. I loved that scene so much. And I was so proud of Clary in that moment. Like, yes, Clary, you figured this shit out all by yourself. Okay, so then after that, here comes the sibling storyline. Valentine reveals that he's Jace's father. So for a while I was actually wondering whether they were going to actually do that storyline. Because, you know, it's one of those touchy subjects. It's a bit awkward. When they did it in the movie, they made it perfectly clear to the audience that they weren't actually siblings. So even though Jace and Clary thought that, people who hadn't read the books and didn't already know what was going on still knew that they weren't actually related. So I was wondering if they were going to do something like that in the show. No, they went all out. Congratulations, you've been making out with your sibling. Right, I know there were a lot of people that didn't want the show to go ahead with the sibling storyline. I am so glad that they did. I was desperate for them to do it because I am one of those sick and evil people that likes seeing the reaction from people who don't already know this story. I was straight online after I saw the episode looking at the reactions from people who'd never read the books. The horror! I remember those days. I remember feeling that when I read the book. I mean, I don't think they're going to draw it out. I think that they'll probably resolve it by the end of this season, to be honest. And I'll be happy with that because as much as I find the storyline entertaining, I don't want to see it drawn out because it is uncomfortable. So then after this, Valentine disappears through a portal like it goes down in the book. They all manage to get back to the Institute. And we get this great scene between Alec and Jace. Alec finally calls Jace out on some of his shit. And Jace tells Alec how he's been feeling about all of this as well. It's not a happy conversation, it's not something that's going to sort everything out, but I like that they're finally starting to actually talk about it. And then we also have a scene between Clary and Jace. I've got to say, right, I think they're handling themselves pretty well in this scene, because they are concerningly calm. Like, I don't know about you, but if I just found out that I'd been flirting romantically with my sibling for the past couple of weeks, I would not have the same level of chill that they had. I'd be traumatized. I'd be traumatized. Everyone around them actually seems pretty calm. I mean, even Alec and Izzy, like I was thinking maybe Alec would speak a little bit more about it, but no, it's just like, this is awkward, let's not discuss it. But I did feel really sorry for them in that scene. Bless them. So then after that we have Alec going to tell Izzy that the cup is back in the Institute. They've handed it over to the Clave, so she is free. And I absolutely adored that scene. That hug between Alec and Izzy was really cute. I love their bond. I just love the Lightwood siblings. But then Malik and Agnes... I've done it again! I've done it again! Why do I keep doing that? Malik and Agnes, this has got to stop. I can't even speak. Magnus and Alec! So Magnus and Alec go off on their own to discuss Alec's payment, which is obviously his bow and quiver. Like I said earlier, I knew that Magnus was never going to actually take the bow and quiver, but we got a really great conversation between the two of them. What I really adored in this scene is that Magnus makes it more about Lydia. He made it clear to him that not only was he affecting his own life, but he was also affecting Lydia's life as well. Lydia was going to end up in a loveless marriage, and I like that Magnus was the one to point that out, because I'm very surprised that nobody else has spoke to him about this. I thought maybe Isabel would. Nobody is thinking about Lydia in this situation. The fact that it's not just Alec that's going to be in a lonely marriage, it will be Lydia as well. So I was really happy with that scene. However, when he said to Alec, it's unfair on you, it's unfair on Lydia, and it's unfair on me, again, I don't think he had the right to say that. Like I mentioned the past couple of weeks, Magnus and Alec don't know each other tremendously well yet. It's attraction, but it's not love. Like, they haven't had the time to fall in love with each other. So for Magnus to say it's unfair on me, he doesn't really have any rightful claim to Alec. I understand that he cares for Alec making these wrong decisions about his life because it's not what he really wants. But to say it's unfair on me, I don't think Magnus should have put himself in that equation, in that whole situation. But apart from that one little line, I absolutely adored that scene. There's so much angst between Malik. It's all angsty and... So then right at the end we also have one final scene between Luke and Simon, and he informs him that Jace and Clary are siblings, so there's little Simon thinking he's got a chance. The girl you practically raised as your own daughter has just found out that she's been kissing her brother. Let's not make this about Simon. Let's not immediately say, oh, Simon, you've got a chance here. Let's focus on the fact that these two teenagers have been kissing each other and they're siblings. I mean, they're not really, but they think they are. What? Why is not... Right, no one seems to be as concerned about this as I would be. Like, Luke, why are you not counselling Clary right now? I mean, somebody needs to talk to these kids. And then the final shot of the episode is poor Jace sitting on his bed, nearing tears. Oh, Jace. So yeah, that is episode 11. In a nutshell. So now that we are done discussing episode 11, shall we talk a little bit about next week's episode? So you probably know that this is my most anticipated episode of this whole season. It's called Malik, okay? I'm down for it. I am ready. I am so ready. I'm not ready, but I'm ready. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So we got promo pictures last week and we got to see Lydia in the dress and everything, and we know that a wedding is going to take place. So I was very nervous to see a promo for this episode. That first promo, that scene where Magnus is circling Alec, talking about love. Jesus Christ. Just from seeing that alone, I'm not going to survive this episode. The tension, this wedding, that's one of the best promos for an episode that we've got so far, because it's just emotion, it's emotion. So yeah, after that initial promo that we got after episode 11, we got a couple of clips as well, like we normally do, and that's normally it. Promotion wise, that's normally what we get to tie us over until the next episode. So after I'd watched episode 11 on Netflix on the Wednesday, I watched the promo and then I caught up on these clips and I thought that was it. And I was getting ready to relax for the evening. I was just getting logged in on Tumblr, ready to blog about episode 11. I thought I was gonna have a calm evening. I thought. And then Freeform come out of nowhere with this other promo, and they just drop it on us without any warning whatsoever. I was on Tumblr at the time that it dropped. Somebody on my dashboard had obviously just quickly seen the promo and screenshotted an image of it in excitement and put it on Tumblr. So the first image I saw was of Magnus and Alex standing closer than we've ever seen them in this picture, and it was quite blurry because it had obviously been taken quickly. It wasn't the clearest of images in the world. I thought it was a manip. I actually thought it was an edit. I thought somebody had taken one of the wedding pictures because Alex in his wedding suit, and they photoshopped it next to a picture of Magnus. I didn't think it was real. And then I noticed the pink in Magnus's hair and I was like, hold on a second. This isn't an edit. So there was a link underneath this picture to the actual promo, which I went to, and I saw that the promo was called Kiss. I was losing my shit, guys. I had to pause the video a few times because I was a mess. I had zero chill. I was an embarrassment. If you just seen me last night, I was an embarrassment to myself, to my family, to the world. So you go through this promo, there's even a little foreshadowing hint of Sizzy. I don't know whether that's an actual scene with them in together, or it kind of edits the clips to make it look a bit more about Sizzy. And then after that, at the very end of the promo, you get this. We've all been pinning our hopes on a Malik kiss this season. I've been waiting for it, and I knew if it was going to happen, then it was going to happen in the Malik episode. So, to see that little bit in the promo, and I thought, oh my god, it's happening, it's happening. I was just crazy happy and reblogging a million different edits of that same gif on Tumblr. I was very happy, and I was allowed to be happy for about 3 hours before the theories started coming in. You guys and your theories. Like, you can't just let me be happy and let me believe that this is a plain and simple Malik first kiss. You guys have got to go in there with the magnifying glass and analyze absolutely everything. So whilst I was really happy initially when I saw it, now I'm a paranoid panicking mess, okay? So the first thing that people pointed out is that this scene clearly takes place in the same location as the wedding, because in the promotional pictures where Lydia is walking up the aisle, the window in the background is actually the window in the background of this scene between Magnus and Alec. But first things first, is this at the wedding? In front of everyone. God, no. Please do not let this be at the wedding in front of everyone, right? Because we know Alec's in his wedding suit. So it kind of looks like Magnus shows up and then Alec runs down the aisle and kisses him. That's one of the theories. I do not want that to happen. I said last week that I do not want Malik's first kiss to be in front of everyone. I don't want it to be a sort of spin on that kiss in City of Glass in the Hall of Accords in front of everyone. I don't want that. So, theory number 2. Something that I did not think about. This was not on my mind at all. But so many people have pointed it out that I've actually started believing it now. People think that this is a hallucination. For starters, Magnus actually looks the same height as Matthew. There's not that much of a height difference, and we know in reality Harry is a lot smaller than Matthew. So people were thinking that it looked a little bit messed up. And the fact that Alec is in his formal wear and it's at the same location as the wedding, people are thinking that when him and Lydia are taking their vows, he imagines himself kissing Magnus instead of Lydia. No! No! Right, okay. If Malik's first kiss turns out to be a hallucination, I'm going to lose my shit, okay? I don't want the first time we see them kiss on screen to be fake. This is why I was very concerned about episode 10 with the AU world. I didn't want them to kiss in the AU world because the first time they kiss, I want to see them actually kiss in character, properly, the way it should be. I don't want any AU kisses. I don't want any hallucination kisses. If a kiss happens beforehand, and then Alec's imagining himself kissing Magnus because he's already kissed him, then that's fine. I'm okay with that. But if it's the first time we see them kiss on screen, and he's imagining it, I'm not going to be happy, guys. I mean, me and the writers of the show are going to have a really tense relationship if that's what happens. Now I'm stressed. I'm so stressed about this episode. And I'm going to be stressed for the next week until we get to see what actually happens. In a perfect world, we all get a really great Malik kiss and everything's good. We all have our own ideas of what we want to happen. I know what I want to happen, personally. I've said from the start that I want Alec to be the one that stops this wedding because he realises that it's not right for him. In my mind, I want Alec to stop the wedding. Get everyone out of that chapel so that it's just him and Lydia. And then I want him to explain to her everything that he's been going through and for them to have a real heart-to-heart. Then she'd leave. And then maybe Magnus, who had previously decided he wasn't going to watch the wedding, changes his mind and thinks he'll come and watch. And then when he gets there, everybody's gone and it's just Alec, and then maybe the kiss happens then when they're alone. Emphasis on the word alone here. Yeah, so that's my version. That's what I'd like to happen. That's the dream, you guys. That's the dream. In an ideal world, that's how it would happen. No, in fact, in an ideal world, it would happen exactly the way that Cassie wrote it. I'm assuming you've all read her short story of Magnus and Alec's first kiss. It's on her website if you haven't read it. Ideally, I'd want that to be put on screen, but I think it's pretty clear that that's not going to be their first kiss in the show. Which, you know, I don't mind. I expected it to be different anyway. I just don't want it to be too different, as in front of everyone, and it's a really big massive gesture, because it's not. In Cassie's writing, it's quite a cute thing. They don't really know each other that well at that point, and it's just a cute kiss thing. That's kind of what I want. It shouldn't be this big momentous love moment, because they're not in love at this point. But in saying that, I still want it to be an actual kiss between them, not a hallucination. Anyway, I'm so excited and nervous about Malik. Next time I make a video, we'll have seen it. We'll know if any of the theories are right. Anyway, that is all I want to say this week. So please do let me know all of your thoughts on episode 11, and also what are your predictions for episode 12. Let me know all the things in the comments. Also let me know if I've missed out anything, because I probably have. I try to include as much as I can, but I always miss out a lot. So if there's something you want to talk about, down there is the place to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time when we'll be talking about that Malik kiss that's going to happen perfectly. Yeah, bye!